Hello, everybody. Are you looking for some free science fiction and fantasy books for this winter weekend? If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, we have free books for you. Because every Friday here at MetaStellar, we read the first three chapters of each of the top five free fantasy and sci-fi books on Amazon. Today's list includes an epic fantasy by USA Today bestselling author, a box set about post-apocalyptic survival, and a college for monster hunters. Before we get to that, hi everybody. Welcome back to the MetaStellar YouTube channel. My name is Maria KOROLOV. I'm the editor here at MetaStellar. And today I was helped out with the reviews by Hannah M. and E.S. Foster. And Emma is here with us today. Hi, Emma.
Hey,
So if you don't want to miss these, we do these every Friday. Subscribe to this channel or hit the like button so you don't miss any of them. And there's also a newsletter you can subscribe to so you get all these free books in your inbox, plus what we think about them and if they're worth reading. All right, let's get into the books. We're going to start with book number 5 and then count down to book number 1. And here is book number 5. Let's make that a little bit bigger for you. This is a box set of that epic fantasy by that USA Today bestselling author I was telling you about. Frostborn by Jonathan Moeller is a box set of the first 3 of 15 books in the Frostborn epic fantasy series, plus a prequel novella. The other books are $5 each, and they're not in Kindle Unlimited. So Kindle Unlimited is where you pay 12 bucks a month and you read all the books you want, as long as you don't mind reading them all from Amazon. So Emma read this for us. Emma, what did you think of these books?
I love a good epic fantasy, so I was really excited to start this one. And it begins with this prologue and explains it's sort of like this sort of way, like someone's telling you a story, like a legend is about to unfold. And it's this little prologue. It explains how one of King Arthur's sons escaped the Saxon army of our world and entered a fantasy realm full of magic. And in this world, there are different races like elves, orcs, a whole type of deal. But there are also a group of huge spider devils that rose up against the armies. They're like the leading practice or black magic in this world, taking over everything. So the son ends up making a pact with a member of the High Elves. And this introduces magic to humans. It allows them to deal with magic like casting spells, but also it creates these magical swords that are made by the elves, and they are able to defend the spiders and beat them back with these swords and with this new magic they possess. So this leads to peacetime and also creates these two different orders. So it's like people who are in charge of casting spells using magic and people who are the ones that are like knights who use the swords. So it's like there's a lot of information, but I thought it was really cool and I was excited to dive into the first chapter. So it's several centuries later, and Ridmark, our protagonist, he's one of the knights in the order that deals with these swords. So he is part of their knighthood there. And he's taking part in this festival that's just been declared. So we get a little more background about what the kingdom is like now that there's peace, different things. There was like some cool stuff about how some of the religious aspects of our world carried over into their world and how they celebrate that. And then we also learned that Ridmark killed one of the spider devils when he was just 18. So he is already one of the most respected knights in the land. And Ridmark hopes to use this advantage to his advantage to wed Aaliyah, who is the daughter of one of the many dukes. So there are a lot of dukes in this land, and they're sort of ruling over the different provinces. He manages to get a dance with her during the festival, but then after the dance, he realizes that the magical sword that he's carrying is glowing. He announces that someone with dark magic is in the room, and he turns to see this man in a red cloak standing and watching everyone. So in this story, there was a lot of world building in the beginning, and it made for kind of a dense read in different places. And then I did notice that there were a few tropes like the sword going to, warn that there's evil nearby, and then like the giant spiders and that type of thing. But I didn't really mind all that much because a lot of the information that was in it seemed like something that would be really interesting to keep learning about, and I wanted to continue reading to see how it would be used. So I think I might end up sticking with this one. I know it'd take a long time to get through the series, but I think it's a challenge I want to tackle.
Um, I really, really love books that have a lot of books in a series in them. It
Yeah.
I think like people really love the series and the author's really into it to like have, and the publisher has like a lot of faith in it to put out like 15 books. And also, I'm really, really bad at names, and epic fantasies in particular have a lot of people in them. And so, if there's 15 books, then there's time for me to actually learn who the people are.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So, yeah, I love reading like the next book in the series after I've already gotten to know everybody. And yeah, I haven't read a nice long epic fantasy for a while. So, I've got this already queued up on my Kindle. Okay, let's go on to the next book on today's list. Violet Legacy by Tamara Nikolai. Let me make that a little bit bigger for you guys. Here it is. This is the first of two books in the New Atlantis paranormal romance series. The other book is $2.99 and it is not in Kindle Unlimited. And Emma read this for us as well. So, Emma, what'd you think of this one?
I really liked it. Like, I didn't see that it was a paranormal romance, but it doesn't seem like something that's going to be too much into the romance, and I really enjoyed the beginning of it. It begins with Rika. She's this young woman who has been searching for the lost tomb of the Queen of Atlantis. So, a little bit of background. In this world, the lost city of Atlantis exists, and it, fell into the ocean like the legend goes. And humans and citizens of Atlantis have coexisted for centuries. So they know about the Atlanteans, they know like where they came from, and they just kind of exist in the human world like everyone else. But the tomb of this queen is said to be the home for coordinates that lead to royal treasure. And Rika isn't interested in the treasure, actually. She's more concerned with finding the tomb because, just like her mother, she wants to find it. And her mother had the same dream, but her mother tragically died in a plane crash. And her mother was also an Atlantean, so she was a member of Atlantis. She's a descendant from one of them. And this makes Rika only half human. So at the beginning, Rika is on this expedition to Turkey, and she's scaling down this cavern. This is also in the future, by the way. So she has this cool drone that she uses to sort of help guide her way down this dark cavern by having it shine a light. And I thought that was a really neat detail. But at the bottom, she discovers there's this temple, and it does in fact contain the queen's tomb. And then she also notices that in the engravings that she has the same eye color as the queen. Her eyes are like this fiery red, but this isn't typical even for Atlanteans, so I think this is an important detail for later. So Rekka's ecstatic to have finally found the queen's tomb. This is her mother's dream, this has been her dream, but she needs to escape because there's some kind of explosion happens and the temple collapses. So now she needs to figure out a way to get back in. And then the story shifts to Dante. He is a member of one of the Atlantean houses. So there are all these different aristocrats. They're not descended from the royal family, but they're sort of like descendants of people who were in power during the time when Atlantis was still around. He is also looking for the tomb, but he's doing it to restore his and his father's reputation with the other houses. One of his co-workers informs him that Rika has indeed found the tomb, but that she also has the same eye color as the queen and the royal family. So Dante decides this will come in handy with him recovering the tomb as well, and he asks to meet her. So I thought the premise of the story was really interesting. It wasn't anything like I read before, and I was interested to see what would happen. I wanted to see what the characters were doing, where they would go from there. So I think I might stick with this one.
Well, okay, now I don't have a transition for the next book because it is so weird. So here's the cover. Let me zoom in on it. And it's called Shock Pepper, and it's by Blox, Widdle, Manor. This is the person's only book on Amazon. It's billed as the first book in the Shock Pepper sci-fi series, but it's the only book in the series. And we haven't seen the author before on our list because this is the only book on Amazon. And it's billed as a kind of a metaverse caper or weird kind of thing kind of book. And Hannah M read this for us. So, Emma, what did Hannah think of this book?
So I think Hannah actually really liked this. She says that the story opens with this young boy and a girl. They're spraying their garden plants with hose in the front yard. All of a sudden, this man emerges from the koi pond. He's muddy, he's confused, he doesn't know where he is. But then the story shifts to a policeman. He's stopped on the street by a boy who claims that he needs to show the policeman something shocking. So he drags him to the garden, and there's the mysterious man. So this is the point of view of a policeman who is going with this boy who we just saw earlier. However, when they get there, they find that the man is dead. It's like entrails are lying in this bloody mess around him, and everyone is horrified. So the policeman wants to find out who did this, and all of a sudden they see this strange figure carrying a baby. So they try to run after him, but the figure disappears. So now everyone's confused. I am also confused. Says the next chapter then focuses on this man named Sam. He has a broken heart, no job, strained relationship with his parents. And his parents hate the fact that their son spends time with his childhood friend. And that friend happens to tell Sam about a witch who makes potions that will make a person sleep for years. And Sam is convinced that this is a good idea and he wants to know more. So Hannah Ann says that she was when she was reading this, she really liked it. She liked how all the characters pop up in each other's storylines. It was interesting to guess how it would all eventually climax. And she said it was a very different take on the sci-fi genre, so she wants to read more of the author's work. And eventually, I figured they'd probably put up some more books on there, and she'd be happy to read them.
I'd be curious how the whole sleeping for 10 years works.
Yeah,
Are you like in a hospital bed in a coma for 10 years?
this
And
definitely gives like weird fiction, like retro weird fiction vibes, you know what I'm
yeah,
talking about?
definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I was like, you still age when you're in a coma, so you'll have lost 10 years of your life. I don't know. I don't think
yeah, I don't know.
yeah, it doesn't sound attractive to me, no matter how bad your life is. Like, take a vacation for 10 years, hitchhike around Europe. There's plenty of other options. Okay, so next we have, oh, a magical school book. I mean, a book about a magical school, or a box set of books about a magical school. So this is Fear University by Meg Collett. This is a complete box set of all 5 books in the Fear University Paranormal Romance series. The books are normally $1 to $5 each. And so this is set in a college. So the protagonist is college age. And so right there, I don't like that. I don't like young people. I don't like colleges. I still have like fears of having papers due and not having written them. I do not want to go back to that time of my life. Um, and then I hate romance. So yeah. Um, but I've got to review this, so I'm reviewing it. And the book starts out with Ollie, who's been one step ahead of death for the previous 2 years. That's how the book opens. She works as a waitress in a diner, carries a gun in her pocket, and she has a congenital inability to feel pain. And she's been raised in various horrible foster homes, and bad things have happened, and she's also done bad things. And I like that in the character. So she's walking home to her apartment alone on a dark and rainy night, and she hears a weird ticking sound. Then she's attacked by a dog with weird eyes, and there have been a series of animal attacks reported in town over the past week, but this is not a normal dog, and she is badly hurt. And I love the fight scene here. This is really well written. I really enjoyed it. Then 2 creepy guys show up, and they attack her as well, and she's already wounded. And they kidnap her, they tase her, they throw her in the back of a van, and they take her to some place called Fear University. And I really like this beginning, and I really liked Ollie. I like the writing style here. I like how cynical she was, and hard-boiled, and angry, and violent. Oh yeah, I liked everything about her. I was kind of disappointed that she was captured in the end, but I'm sure she's clever. She'll figure out a way to get out of it and kill everybody around her. But no. So they take her to Fear University, and they bandage up her wounds and explain that there's a kind of werewolf style monster out there that's killing people, and the number of them is growing. And the only way to stop them is with hunters who are trained at Fear University. And apparently, this hunting is like a family business because people are like hereditary hunters. And the government knows about these monsters, but they're keeping it secret to avoid panicking people. And they want Ollie to sign up to become a hunter because she doesn't feel pain, and this will give her an advantage over the monsters. There's a little bit more than just not feeling pain, but that's like a critical part of it. She also doesn't feel fear, and the monsters like live off of fear. And so she signs up instead of like killing everybody and getting out of there. She agrees to be a student at this university, which is like a small college on the campus of a former prison. The students sleep in literal prison cells, and one of the guys who kidnapped her is going to be like her tutor, which is like totally creepy. Now, in return for her signing up, they're going to clear her record with the police. So I guess she's going to get something out of it. And being a foster kid, she's also looking for a place to belong. So that's part of it as well. But I'm very, very disappointed in Ollie that she agrees to all of this. And like from my perspective, it gets worse. So the guy who kidnaps her, who's going to be her tutor, she thinks he's sexy. And she gossips about him with one of the other students, and apparently he doesn't like date much because he has a reputation for being violent during sex, and she likes that, which is creepy. And the second day there, she gets up early. He takes her for a run around the perimeter of the prison. She beats him in the race, even though she's not an experienced runner, because she basically runs herself close to death, like for the hell of it. And at the end of it, like he's mad at her for some reason and he stabs her in the leg. Why? And so she's back in the hospital to get patched up again. And for some reason, she's still okay with this and still okay with this guy. So, yes, so for me, this is like super, super problematic. I mean, he is clearly a bad guy. This is clearly a bad situation. She should not be there. But I can see why this would appeal to somebody's fantasy of kind of a violent sexual relationship. And since she doesn't feel pain or fear, she can like really get into it apparently. Yeah, so not for me, but it is very, very readable, and I can see why people like it. But like all the like red flags about this relationship are creeping me out. And also the fact that she's agreed to go to college. I mean, why? Why would anybody want to go to college? I do not understand that. And that for me is like the final no. But if you like schools, if you like monster hunters, and if you like the possibility of very violent sex, this is it. And you get the full series. So good deal. Okay, before we go on to book number 1 on today's list, I want to thank our Patreon supporters because MetaStellar is an online magazine of science fiction and fantasy. We publish a lot of original fiction, and we pay for it because of donations from our Patreon supporters and from YouTube channel subscriptions. All the money goes to the writers because all of us editors are volunteers, including me and Emma. And in addition to publishing short stories on the website, we also publish anthologies. We have 3 anthologies out right now. Links in the description box below, available in print and electronic form. This is the best of year 1, 2, and 3. And we're currently working on best of year 4, and Emma is spearheading that effort. And we also publish books. So our first book, Gods and Monsters, is now available in print. You can buy it from Amazon and Barnes and Noble and all other major bookstores, electronically and paper. And we serialized this book last year, and all the installments are also available for free on our website. And the author reads her book on our YouTube channel as well. Links to that in the description box below. And the cover art is an original painting by the author, who also happens to be an award-winning artist. And she has positive quotes for her previous books from Ray Bradbury, Harlan Ellison, Margaret Cho, the New York Journal of Books, LA Weekly. I mean, she is an amazing author. I would totally expect this book to win a bunch of awards, and it is fantastic. We all loved working on it here at MetaStellar, and we're serializing 2 books this year, so stay tuned. And before we continue on to book number 1 in today's list, I also want to say that Emma is a book coach and editor, and you can hire her. And while at my day job, I'm a sci-fi journalist, not a sci-fi journalist, I'm a technology journalist. I also write sci-fi. And these 3 books are available for free on Amazon. And they are also on the free bestseller list in their category for humorous science fiction. I just looked it up. The first book in the series is number 25 today, or was this morning when I checked. So yay. And those 3 books are currently free as well if you want to pick them up. Okay. Oh, and we have mugs and t-shirts. I don't know if you can see that, but here's a MetaStellar mug. Okay, and all the money goes to pay for original fiction by real authors. Okay, book number 1 on today's list is The Burning Sands by P.R. Adams. And I read this one because I like hard sci-fi. And I really like the fact that the author is a former military guy, because I love military sci-fi. So The Burning Sands by P.R. Adams. This is a box set of the first 3 of 9 books in the Burning Sands sci-fi adventure series. The other books are $4 to $5 each, and they're not in Kindle Unlimited. And the book opens with Reggie waking up from hibernation. It's a very painful process. He throws up. His body is weakened, and he's lost all his muscle mass. And so he's in this research laboratory, but there's nobody else in the lab, and there seems to be a power problem. He was supposed to have been in hibernation for a month, but it feels like he's been under a lot longer. He finds some clothes and gets dressed. He finds a working computer. And then he learns that there's 16 other hibernation tanks with live people in them, or hibernating people in them. And there's only enough power left to restore 11 of them. And there were other people in hibernation as well, but they died due to various catastrophic failures. Meanwhile, while he's trying to decide what to do, someone is trying to break into the facility, which is weird because it's 50 feet underground, 100 miles from the nearest population center in the heart of a desert. So something's very, very, very wrong. And there's an ape-like axe-wielding monster trying to break into the lab who looks like a caveman. So I like the setup. I like the fact that Reggie and the people he's able to bring back to life have to figure out what's going on and what happened while they were under, and who are these cavemen who are attacking them. But there's some things I don't like about Reggie. First of all, every female character that he like mentions or looks at, he immediately thinks of them in terms of their attractiveness, which is kind of creepy. And I mean, that's how he thinks, like every single woman he sees. It's like, well, is she attractive? Not attractive? Oh, she looks sexy in this. Oh, she's flirting. Oh, this is her, coquettish voice. So she's trying to manipulate me by being sexy. That kind of stuff, which is a little creepy. And he's the highest ranking person there, but he seems to be really, really bad at leadership. I mean, he's not connecting with anyone on the team. He has personal issues with them. There's no respect. He doesn't have any authority. He seems really socially awkward. Nobody has confidence in him. And And one of the people asks him why he picked the people he picked for to bring them out of hibernation and let the others die, because the hot women are alive and everybody who's senior to him is dead. So people, and he's like trying to justify it, but yeah, so it's a little suspicious. Um, and one of his orders goes bad, and one of his team members, one of the men, is killed by one of these cavemen. And Reggie thinks it's like not his fault. In his head, he's blaming somebody else for all this. And then he's needed to do something, and we find out he's also a coward, and he's got daddy issues. So he's just an unpleasant character all around, making bad decisions right and left. Like, for example, one of the team members suggested that the caveman could be a result of a mutation after a nuclear disaster of some kind. But nobody takes any precautions about radiation or checking for it, right? Like, that's just like, why? He's a scientist. Why we do this? Anyway, so I like the book's premise, but I don't like any of the characters. None of them are described in a sympathetic way, especially the protagonist. And maybe there's a character arc through this series where he grows into his leadership role and deals with his personal issues. But like right now, he seems to be in over his head and trying to bluster his way through it, even though he's putting everyone in danger. And if this was a movie and Reggie was played by a sympathetic actor, I probably wouldn't mind it. I could get into it. But as it is, being inside his head is making me very, very anxious. I keep saying, "Oh, don't do that. Oh, don't do that. Oh, and it just makes me really stressed out to be reading this. So I won't be sticking with it. But if this is the kind of book you like, it's the #1 book today on Amazon's free sci-fi list, and a lot of other people like it, and it is extremely readable. So if this is like your kind of book and you don't mind problematic or kind of gray characters, like I couldn't watch Breaking Bad at all because it just like the whole thing creeped me out about it. But if that's the kind of thing you like, you might really enjoy this book. Okay, so I want to thank everybody for being here with us today. I want to thank Emma in particular for joining me. Thanks, Emma. And and Hannah, wherever she is, for helping us out. And before we go, I also want to mention that there's a couple of videos that Google suggests that you might like. Thanks, everybody. Thanks you for joining us. See you next Friday. Love you guys. Let me know which of these books you like, enjoy, and what kind of reviews you want to see more of. Bye-bye.
Bye.